So in today's episode, we are continuing the series of the 7 essential pillars to living and loving your dope life. And we finally landed on one of my favorite pillars. More of like a maintenance pillar, which is meeting yourself where you are at. So as always, let's get right into it. So when you think about meeting yourself where you are, it's allowing yourself to be more present, but it's also allowing yourself to give yourself more self-compassion. So there's 3 steps that I use whenever I'm kind of feeling like, okay, I just got to meet myself where I'm at. The first step is acknowledge. What is it that I'm feeling? Because one thing I don't want to do is continue feeling the same way. We kind of want to stop it. We just want to kind of pause on it for a moment. The second step is just be kind to myself. So simplistic. But we got no issues being kind to others, but sometimes it's at those moments when it's a little tricky, we forget to be kind to ourselves. And the third step is be mindful. Be mindful of where you are. Maybe at this moment you're going through a difficult situation and maybe you just need to give yourself a little bit more credit with how you're handling it. So the very first step is acknowledge. This is a good time for you to validate and recognize your emotions of where you are right now. The chances are you have been probably in the hamster wheel, constantly going, but you haven't taken the chance to step back and say, oh man, I need to start taking care of myself. Sometimes our emotions are just almost like a red alert sign for us to pay attention just a bit more. You may find yourself a little bit more upset, irritable. There's something beneath that, right? There's something beneath it, and meeting yourself where you are at is just that. You just take a second, you say, I'm going to acknowledge and validate my emotions right now. I got to check in with myself. I got to self-reflect. Maybe there's something I missed. Maybe there's something I'm ignoring. Maybe I just put a band-aid over something, which a lot of us do. Maybe I just use the device just to kind of keep it moving, keep it pushing. But by actually acknowledging where I am, it will give me an opportunity to feel the emotions, understand the emotions. Because again, sometimes it's not the emotion that we are expressing. There's something underneath the surface that is actually the reason why we are coming out with that sense of emotion. Right now, I'm not trying to not validate emotions. But the whole point is to validate those emotions, to take a step back and look. Okay, I was super angry this day. Why was I super angry this day? What was going on that made me this upset? And then you look and you go back and you just, the why. Why did that make me feel upset? Okay, this happened. Why did that make me feel upset? When you get down to nitty gritty, it was something that happened 2-3 days ago that just came back up to the surface that you haven't dealt with. You see what I'm saying? That's why the first step of acknowledging when it comes towards meeting yourself where you're at is so important, because you're taking a step back and you're saying, okay, something is off here. I need to do some digging. I need to take care of me for a moment. You're allowed to say, I feel like this is a little bit too much at the moment. I'm going to take a step back for a day or two and I'll get back on it. I just think I need a moment to rest. As much as you think you're pausing, you're still working on yourself by saying, I need to take a step back, because rest is growth. Believe it or not, as much as we've been kind of taught oh, you're sleeping in your bed all day, what y'all do? Stuff like that. That was something get up. You know what I'm saying? Rest is growth. Not just because as you're older you grow, but it's growth because you're taking care of yourself. So rest is growth. You never have to worry about that. And it's okay to take a step back and pause with something that you are doing. Acknowledge where you're at, validate where you're at, and just say, I need to take a step back. I need to take care of me, because these emotions that are coming up to the surface, they ain't it. I need to do better with myself. Second step is be kind. Okay, be kind to you, be kind to yourself. I always tell my clients, I always remind myself, if I'm so kind to everybody else, I gotta express the same sense of kindness to me. It's so simplistic for us to hold the door for others, but are we holding it for ourselves? And what I mean by that, obviously you can't hold it for yourself, but understand what I'm trying to say is we could always show that sense of kindness, a sense of self-respect to others. Not a problem. But for some reason, as human beings, not all of us, but some of us, it's hard for us to show that sense of kindness to ourselves. So that's why I say be kind. When it comes towards meeting yourself where you're at, be kind to you. Be kind to yourself. It's okay to spoil yourself. It's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay to show yourself some love. Be kind to you. The same amount of respect that you're giving others, the same amount of respect and love and kindness and compassion that you give others, you should be showing that to yourself on a daily basis. We're not taught about so much of taking care of yourself. It's kind of there, but not fully. It's more about like taking care of others because we fear what other people would say if we didn't, or how it would come back to the family of how we are displaying the family name in public. But at the end of the day, sometimes doing those things are dishonored, right? Like when we're doing things that we don't want to do, or we're in certain circumstances that make us feel uncomfortable, right? And we forget to take care of ourselves. It's okay to take care of you and be kind to you. And kind of going back to that little circle I just went into, sometimes saying no is being super kind to yourself. Oftentimes, sometimes saying no. You know what I mean? Like you could say no to you and people may say, well, that's disrespectful. But you would respect them and their time. So you got to learn to respect your and your time. So be kind to you. Be kind to yourself. Show yourself all that love, all that self-compassion, and just layer on the same amount of kindness that you would give others to yourself. And the last step is like, be mindful. Be so mindful. When it comes to meeting ourselves or as, sometimes we go down like this tunnel, like this rabbit hole where, like I said, if you're not being kind to yourself and the emotions are kind of at the front and you're not acknowledging that, when it gets down to being mindful, we bring up past situations or the future scares us to some degree. And that's what brings us more into like a state of anxious and depression, right? So being mindful is being mindful of your thoughts, being mindful of the steps you take, being mindful of where you are, be more present. Like meeting yourself where you're at is literally that. Just be more present, be where you are, be where your feet are. Great affirmation. I love it. Be where your feet are. Do what you can with what you got. And just thank the higher ups for everything that you have. That gratitude piece. But just be mindful. Be mindful of what you have accomplished. Be mindful of where you are. Meeting yourself where you're at is being where you are. And 99% of us, we all go through it where we're just like, yeah, I'm thinking about the future. Yeah, I'm thinking about the past. There's a gap in between called the present moment that we skip over. And it's such an important gap that we sometimes just ignore. But if you just be where your feet are and just stand in that for a moment, you're meeting yourself where you're at. You're allowing your past and your future self to meet you sometimes too. Just by just standing there and being like, okay, I'm acknowledging both pieces of me, all three of me, future, present, past, by just being where I am and meeting myself where I'm at. And it's so damn crucial to meet yourself where you're at because we give ourselves sometimes the third degree. We are our own biggest critic. We think that people are thinking almost sometimes the worst of us, which is oftentimes not true because we've created this thought process in our head. By just taking all of that away for a moment, just grab it, boop, it's gone. And just meeting yourself where you're at and just putting your hand on your heart and realizing it's beating, I'm here. You're giving yourself also grace, which is an important step here. A super, super important step here. You're giving yourself grace. You're giving yourself love. You're giving yourself time. You're giving yourself patience. You're giving yourself self-compassion. You're allowing yourself to just be for a moment. You're allowing yourself to just exist. And that is literally meeting yourself where you are at. Instead of trying to create this monstrous thought process in your head that's just gonna spiral you down a negative path, you're meeting yourself where you're at and you're protecting that alone. All right, y'all. Hope that you enjoyed today's episode. We got one more episode of the series of the 7 Essential Pillars to Living and Loving Your Dope Life. If you have any questions, comment below. I would love to know what some of your essential pillars are in your life. And please come back next week as we continue it. And don't forget to screenshot, pop this inside of your IG, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook stories so that our podcast can get out to dope individuals like you. And as always, y'all, see you next week. Walk with peace. Walk with love.